Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ATD Movie Channel. I'm Tony, and today I'll be reviewing A Wrinkle in Time, the latest film by the incredibly talented director, Ava DuVernay. Let's jump right into it. Before I get into the review of A Wrinkle in Time, I just wanted to spend a few seconds telling you what I think of Ava DuVernay. I think she's an incredibly talented director, and Selma was actually my favorite movie a few years ago when it was nominated for just 2 Oscars. And the backlash that came about because of it with the Oscars So White movement. I think she's a visionary director, and I think she can tell an incredible story. That didn't happen here, unfortunately, and I'm going to get into the details. But before I tear the movie apart, I want to talk about a few things that I did like. Now, obviously, the movie is based on the beloved children's novel, A Wrinkle in Time. And there's a lot of talent involved in this film, and I'll just read off a few of the big names. So Reid is the main actress in the film, and she plays Meg. And she was actually in a film that I reviewed last year called Sleight. It was a small independent film, but she was actually a real standout for me, and I highlighted her performance in my review. Also in the film are Reese Witherspoon, Oprah Winfrey, and Mindy Kaling as the 3 misses. And they're sort of these fairy godmothers, if you will, that transport Meg into another universe as she seeks her father, who's been missing for 4 years. The father's played by Chris Pine, and Zach Galifianakis and Michael Pena are also in the film for some comedic relief, I guess you could say. So obviously that's a lot of incredible talent in this movie, but I don't think the outcome was what any of us expected. Let me start with what I liked about the film, and specifically speaking, the visuals. They are incredibly impressive in both the practical sense and the computer generated. And let me explain. A lot of the movie takes place in a different universe or different worlds, away from Earth. Most of those shots are filmed in New Zealand, and we know this from various post-production, behind-the-scenes videos that Disney released in the marketing of the film. Those scenes in the movie are really highlighted primarily in the trailer, and they're fantastic. The color palette, the richness of the color and the composition, it all works really well to sort of transport the audience into another world. That's something that we can't ignore. And what I'm bundling with the visual effects is the costume design and the makeup. It is really impressive in that when we see the 3 misses played by Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling, we know that they're human, but they're not like the rest of us. And I think that that worked really well in the movie to tell us that these 3 people are special, and they're going to help our main characters get to where they need to go. Another aspect of the movie that I really enjoyed are the themes and the concepts explored by Ava DuVernay and company. And I'll just touch on a few, but primarily what I took away from this movie is it's trying to teach young boys and girls about acceptance. And not just accepting others who may be different, but accepting yourself and accepting your faults. And throughout the movie that I didn't enjoy, this worked. This really worked for me. I think that it's important that Ava DuVernay and company touched on this because the demographic that this movie is probably marketing towards are the people that have the most to gain by this lesson of acceptance. And the movie does it cleverly in the way that it reaches its climax, and it talks about how accepting yourself and all of the good and the bad that comes with what you're dealing with will kind of get you over the hump and get you where you want to go. And it's done very well in the film. The other thing that the movie does is it handles diversity really well. First and foremost, in the front and center, Chris Pine plays the father, and he's married to an African American woman. So seeing an interracial couple and Reid being a product of an interracial relationship right off the bat creates some diversity that we don't always see in big budget Disney films like this. And I thought it was great. But that's just the obvious. That's the tip of the iceberg. The real substance in terms of the diversity is in the little things, where Mindy Kaling almost speaks using the quotes of ancient philosophers and real wise men that have come before us. And she's using these quotes from all over the world. There's some from the Middle East, there's some from Great Britain, there's some from here in the United States. And I felt like that was a really clever way to discuss diversity without kind of putting it in our faces. And there's other things that she does really well. The entire supporting cast of characters are real diverse. And I think that Ava DuVernay does it eloquently, and she does it in a way that is respectful, and it makes sense to the story that she's trying to tell. So thumbs up for her, because in my opinion, and I voiced my opinion a couple of years ago, I think she was the victim of some really, really unfair circumstances in terms of her film Selma not getting recognized the way that it should have. So now I've told you I like the visual effects and the themes of the film, and that's about it, guys. I'm really sorry. If you thought this was going to be a positive review, it's not. Let me tell you a little bit about what I didn't like about the film and why. I'll start with the story, which to me is the most important aspect of any film. It's a total mess, and that's putting it really lightly. The film is completely disjointed. There's no coherent or reasonable transition from any one setting to the next. We're just jumping around in different dimensions or universes. I still don't know. I don't remember reading the book in grade school. I turned 37 today, actually. I don't remember the story from the book, so I'm having to depend on the story that Ava DuVernay and company are telling. I don't even know, and I just got out of the movie about a half an hour ago. With that being said, if the story doesn't work, everything else is going to have to work that much harder or much better to make the audience enjoy the film. Unfortunately, the story is it's just a total disaster, and I really want to attribute it to the script because it's just disjointed and messy, and that's as simple as I can put it. And a byproduct of this messy story and messy script is the pacing. It's all over the place, and the film itself has difficulty staying focused, where one moment we're on Earth, another moment we're in another dimension, and then the next minute we're in a cave, and there's just no cohesion to any of it. And I think, again, that the pacing struggles because of that, because we're bouncing around all over the place. We're meeting this character, we're meeting that character, then we're saying bye to these guys, and then we're saying bye to that. It's too messy, and then the pacing suffers because of it. And on the topic of pacing, because of the messy script, there's no room for any of these characters to breathe. We don't get to know any of these characters at any depth. I gotta tell you, none of these characters were that particularly interesting. None of them. And there's certain characters that I'm not even sure why they're in the movie. Mindy Kaling, for example, is one of the main actresses in the film, and she does nothing to push the story along. She does nothing to develop character. I actually turned to my wife as we were leaving the theater and asked her, why is she even in this movie? And she's not the only one either. The Calvin character that goes along for the ride, right alongside Meg and her little brother, no purpose, has no reason to be in the film. Other big name actors don't have anything to do in the movie either. I mean, Zach Galifianakis and Michael Pena are so underutilized. Oprah and Reese Witherspoon have significant screen time, but again, in the scheme of things, these characters could have been ghosts, they could have been visions, and it wouldn't have mattered. Another aspect of the film that I really didn't enjoy was the cinematography. The movie tries this shaky cam technique, and I gave it the benefit of the doubt, thinking that Ava DuVernay and her crew were trying to give the impression of a visual representation of A Wrinkle in Time. But that's not the case. She doesn't even stick to that technique for the entire movie. Another aspect of the cinematography that really got on my nerves was the camera is right in the characters' faces. I mean, we could see the pores of these actors' skin, the camera is so close up. And it's for long, significant shots where the camera goes from a close-up on Oprah to a close-up of Storm Reid to a close-up of Reese Witherspoon. It's so distracting, you guys. You can't stay focused. My theater had a nice mix of teenagers, adults, my wife and I. It was a really nice mix of people. People were genuinely laughing when the camera got so close to Oprah. All you could see was from her mouth to her forehead. It was awful. And if you watch the movie, please let me know in the comments below if you noticed that. One of the last things I want to make a comment about that I didn't enjoy was the climax. The climax to the film just comes so abruptly that I didn't think that the kids had truly discovered or found their dad. I thought it was an illusion. I thought they were seeing things. and you can consider it a spoiler alert, I don't know, but when they find their dad, they really find their dad, and it's out of nowhere, both in terms of tone and pacing, and it just doesn't fit with anything that we had seen about 15 to 20 minutes before that moment. And it's hard to explain without diving into more detail, but if again you did see the movie, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the climax and if you felt like it fit within the context of that scene. So in conclusion, I didn't like the movie at all, and I think I've made that pretty clear. I think the visuals are interesting, and I think that the themes explored are important to this generation. But in the end of the day, I hate even saying it out loud, this has to fall on director Ava DuVernay. I think she's going to come back and do bigger and better things, but this movie is not a good movie, and I think she has to take some responsibility for it. So, have you seen A Wrinkle in Time? Did you read the book when you were in grade school? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified of content uploaded regularly. You can find other movie reviews on the channel as well. Thanks for watching my review for Disney's A Wrinkle in Time. I'll talk to you soon.